A survey of education stakeholders in Missouri shows a divide in support over a new social emotional learning standards for Missouri public schools. The standards are meant to help students develop relationship building skills and be effective in the workplace. Our Missouri Capitol Bureau Chief Joe McLean has the results of the survey and that story from Jefferson City.
These standards were developed because state leaders recognize the need for students to have what's called soft skills or interpersonal skills. The thinking is that the better equipped a student is in this area, the more likely it is they'll be a productive member of the workforce.
This summer, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education developed a set of standards called CORE, which stands for Competencies of Relationship Building Education. The guidelines focus on 3 areas of development: me, we, and others. Me focuses on growing the child's self-awareness and personal integrity. We helps a child learn how to get along with others, develop healthy friendships, and handle disagreements. And others helps a student better understand their impact on the larger community. Of the different stakeholder groups that responded, about half were overall supportive of the standards, including parents, educators, and mental health providers. One respondent wrote, "This is an excellent opportunity to teach children appropriate skills to deal positively with teachers and school staff. In turn, this will improve retention of teachers and staff and markedly decrease turnover in schools." And another wrote, "This is so needed. When students are protective of the groups of which they're not a part, this is what helps a community thrive as well as the individual." However, non-teaching community members, school board members, and a handful of state legislators who responded were, on average, not supportive of the standards. They made up about 30% of respondents. One wrote, "Stop raising more emotional, fragile snowflakes. Educate on real skills, real facts, real history, instead of revisionist history, and leave the psychobabbles out of public schools." Another survey taker said, "Children should not be forced to advocate for all communities. Some communities do not match the family's belief system." The remaining 20% of respondents were neutral on the proposals. The State Board of Education is set to discuss and vote on these standards during its meeting next week. In Jefferson City, Joe McLean, First Alert 4.